Hey Graham, good to see you again,
Hello,
mate.
and you.
Yeah, how's life treating you?
Good. Lockdown's been interesting, and then the weather's been good, but we can stay inside now. It's raining.
Fantastic. Well, listen, look, thanks for taking the time out and recording this coffee with Bob for 15 minutes. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you, mate. And but actually, before we go into stuff around change management, I've just got to
Mm,
share with the listeners for this, right? Your passion for photography
yeah,
and some of the amazing stuff you do. Do you want to share what you've been doing recently in the last 12, 18 months on photography?
yeah. I mean, it's not a new thing. I mean, I think this is my 19th year. I've been going back to Kenya every year, as well as all the other things. But in the last couple of years, I've been kind of up in the ante on my photography and doing different things with it. So I keep pushing the boundaries. And it was, I guess, back in July, um, I went to Mexico to swim with crocodiles,
Amazing.
which, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why it was safe. I don't even know if it was safe, but it was a blast on this remote atoll. Like the crocodiles were touching the front of my camera. So that was a good reintroduction to the wide world after I don't know how many months of lockdown and uncertainty. And then I'm just back from Kenya, so I spent most of August. They opened the borders on the 1st of August, and I was there by the 10th.
Fantastic.
So
How long were you in Kenya for?
3.5 weeks.
Good. And sort of just general safari, wildlife
Yeah,
photography.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
got I've got a friend who runs a safari camp, so he wasn't really open for clients, but I stormed in and we went on game drives, and it was just really good because it's the peak season, but tourists haven't really got there yet. Partly because there's still a 2 week quarantine on return, and
Yeah.
there's still uncertainty around. And people were saying, "How did I get there?" And it's like literally you just book a flight, but we're in a different kind of climate. So it was wonderful to be there and just not have as many cars and vehicles. The animals didn't miss us, so it was great.
So why photography? What do you get out of photography, Graham? What is it that
Yeah,
gives you that
I th-
buzz?
I've always enjoyed. I mean, for me, I've always enjoyed a challenge. So whether it was being young and playing sport. I mean, I played all sorts of sports, so
Yeah.
I loved the competitiveness and challenge and pushing yourself. And for me, a lot of photography is like that, where I'm really, really pushing to do something different, something unique. Um, yeah, I don't like images, whether I've taken it or someone else, which I just think are just kind of turning up and taking an image. So particularly the last few years, but it's just trying to push the boundaries is a thrill. So I've always enjoyed nature. I've always enjoyed wildlife. I've always enjoyed being outside. I used to do sports photography. Actually, I used to sit on the touchline
Right.
on watching Twickenham and different places, because it's a challenge. Like in sport and wildlife are quite similar. Like things only happen once,
Yeah.
so you have to be ready, and there's a skill element to it. So that's kind of the whole journey for me, is that it's always been pushing the boundaries and trying to challenge myself.
Fantastic. I mean, I know when we were recently working on a program out in South Korea, actually, and
Mm.
we were there together helping a client with a workday deployment. I think you were off to, was it Alaska or somewhere for the bears or something like that? Was
Oh,
that
is
a
it?
reason?
I was just back. I flew from Alaska to Korea the wrong way around the world. That was a disaster. But when I was out in Korea, I went to Mongolia to see the wild horses, the only
Yeah,
wild horses in the world. That's a touchy
that's amazing.
subject. Anyway, went to see that, and popped over to Japan and tried to scout out sort of Eastern Asia for photographic opportunities. So I spent a week in a hide in Siberia trying to photograph the rarest leopards in the world.
Wow.
Anyway, I didn't see one, so so I have to go back.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, you've done some great stuff, and I know you've got photographs being exhibited in exhibitions now, but you've also done a book, right?
Yeah,
Was it
yeah. No,
eight
I've
eight
got a
feet or
photo
something like
show.
that? What have you
Yeah, so
got?
that's the book.
Yeah.
So it's coming up back to front, is it, on my camera?
No, it's fine. 8 feet by Graeme Purdy, and that's about what's that book about then?
Yeah, it's kind of literal. So I wanted to get up close and personal with wildlife. So uh, once I'd started taking the images, 8 feet was a good way to describe it, because all images are taken from within 8 feet. So trying to get, and a lot of that time I can't be there. So it's very technical, challenging work, because you have to get a camera within 8 feet of an elephant or a lion or a leopard. And it's not that I'd be attacked. I mean, that's possibly true, but the animals would run away. So it was very challenging, and all the camera shots, all the images are with wide angle lenses. So it's kind of like, it's a bit like holding an iPhone. You're going to have to stand just a few feet away. And a few cameras were damaged along the way. Lions are pretty bad, so they stole a camera once or twice. But the whole theme is just getting up close and personal. It's a very different. The images are very different from the usual, big long telephoto lenses, but you're usually 20 yards away. So that was the theme of the book, and I'm continuing that. Hence the crocodiles, and Alaska with the bears. And we were doing remote photography and underwater photography with the bears, trying to get really up close and personal. So that's been for me, that's the challenge. That's what's different, and that's why the images are different to normal safari images, you would say.
Fantastic. And that book's available. I mean, I'm not, don't want to plug your book too much on to the viewers,
Go
but
away.
I know that I'm waiting for my signed copy, by the way, still,
Yes,
Graeme.
it's in the post.
Yeah, it's been in the post for about a year and a half. But if anyone wants to get a copy of it, and I highly recommend it because I have seen the book. Some fantastic images. How can people get hold of it?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's actually I relaunched my website, and I don't know when people will watch this, but I'm selling it 20% discounted for the next few weeks. But it's
Fantastic.
available on my website or on Amazon. So
Fantastic. We'll
check it
make
out.
sure at the end of this this short coffee clip at the end, we'll put your details up and your website
Super.
details up as well, so they'll be
Yeah,
able to get
come
that from
check it
there.
out.
We will do. So you talked about the challenges in photography, Graeme, and I really do. Hats off to some of the pictures I've seen when you're right near a crocodile or the bears and lions. People coming up. Camera images. I know you're always in front of the camera, and you've got some remote switches, so I know you're not always right there, but some fantastic pictures. But you talk about challenges there, but on the side, and I call it on the side, you do change management, right? And that's the exciting stuff. That's how we met. With a global fashion retailer that we worked together out in Zurich. That was an exciting program, and some very glitzy products that they sell globally. And then we've worked in, like we said, in Korea as well, and some other places. Talk to me about change management and your passion for change as well, Graeme, because you're one of those people that lives and breathes change, right?
Yeah, I mean, it started, back in the 90s. I know I don't look old enough, but, I was out of school by then, out of university. But I started working in Marks and Spencer. I was a store manager, and a lot of that was very operational, and that doesn't really suit me. I'm more short-term goals, projects is kind of my DNA. But even back in that first job, the most exciting things for me were implementing projects and the changes around that. So even back in the 90s, we had computers, and I was involved in some of implementations there, and also the people side of running a business was something that I was passionate about. I didn't really know the terminology, but I then made a switch to consulting. I joined Accenture back then, and they said, oh, you're interested in change management. And I was like, well, what the hell is that? So I guess from, when was that, 96, 97, I've been doing change management for 23 years. And it is what I love, because it's all the people side of things that make things tick and make things work. You need to have processes and technology, but I think more and more we know that it's the minds and the people and the attitudes behind how you do things, not just what you do. So yeah, I've been doing it a long time, and I think it is the most challenging, because, and what I like about it is that it's the most unpredictable part. I mean, I can guarantee the integrations won't work, but you won't. No, but I think that the technology obviously has its challenges, and data has its challenges, and process design. But the sort of severe of influence there is more manageable. It's a different type of challenge. But with change management, you're dealing with a large number of people, and every person is different, has a different mindset towards what's coming. And what I've noticed and realized over the years is that the culture of a company is where you need to start. And I remember back in the day we talked about culture, and I didn't know what I was talking about. It's like
Yeah.
what it seems woolly. It seems like something from some change management deck that everyone understands, but no one's got a clue what it means. But what I've come to realize is that you need to understand how people will perceive change. So if I'm going to change your outlook or upgrade a system or change an office or whatever it may be, how are they going to accept that? What's the track record for it? And the pandemic has been, the whole COVID thing has been a change exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, as we said, we were out in Korea, and we found it strange that we didn't see a face for weeks and weeks because everyone wore masks, because it's part of the DNA, it's part of the culture. It's what they are used to, but it's also what they tolerate, and it's a mindset. And we come back here and people joke and laugh about how the Asians wear masks and everything. And now look at us, So for me, that kind of how you plot a corporate journey when you're dealing with people,
Yeah.
it's always unique. You
Yeah.
can do certain methodologies, all you like for change management, but the actions you take need to be unique to get the results that you want, and that's based on experience, not on a case study or an ABCD approach.
So really, really insightful stuff there, Graeme. So let's just go back on some of your experiences, and you and I have experienced quite a bit together actually in change. But an organization going through a large scale technology implementation today, what are the 2 or 3 things that you would say to anyone that's listening to this? Make sure you consider these things, right?
Yeah.
As part of the change. What would you be calling out for those
Yeah, well, I
people?
think the first thing, we're in this world of cloud solutions, SaaS solutions, and the problem that I've seen, and I've been guilty of this, is that the project who have been involved in the selection process and have heard all the sales pitch about how cloud solutions are easier, the customer experience is rather the user customer experience is better. That translates into the messaging that we give employees and managers and HR or whatever function it is. And that's where some of the problems start, because since when have these big complicated sets of processes, there could be 20 major processes, since when have they become easy? And the interface that you look at is maybe simplified. So what I would suggest and coach to companies who are implementing change is stop telling people it's going to be easy, because you're only going to let 1% or 20% or 50% or everybody down, because that's where people get frustrated. That's where people start seeing that it's not as easy as we promised.
Yeah.
So I think we should tell people, like, this is going to be really difficult, because people's human reaction is to disagree. Well, if you tell the head of finance we're going to put everyone through a new system, it's going to be really challenging, and then show it to them, and whether it's whatever system it is, chances are they're going to say, we can do that. That's not so bad. But if you tell them it's really easy, then it can only find one thing that's not easy, and then you've disappointed them.
No.
So I think how we position change is really important, and we've change used to be difficult, but now we tell people it's easy, and that leads to problems. So I think we need to go back to understanding that let's tell people it's harder than it is, and that will give us a little bit of rope to play with. So I think that overall positioning is fundamental. And the other part that kind of goes with it is the leadership of change. So what I get frustrated about a little bit is that people think change in management is communications and training, and that will ease the first few weeks or make it more difficult, or depending how well you do at those activities. But how you lead the change and position it, so that overall messaging I mentioned, but also who's the face of it and what are they being told. If you're being told you have to wear a mask, or you have to take the system on board, or we're in a crisis, the company's going to go under, this is what we have to do, like, what's the burning platform?
Yeah.
So that leadership of change is underestimated, and we tend to shirk and downplay that because it's difficult, and we focus on all our efforts on training materials as if that's going to it's important, but it's not going to save things if the program or project's not positioned properly.
No, I mean, really interesting, Graeme, and absolutely, I concur. I mean, we as you know, run projects and programs globally and help clients, but it's been one of my passions as well, making sure people get through change. But Graeme, listen, look, it's been, I mean, that's 15 minutes already, and it's been a short conversation. I just love the passion that you've got, Graeme, and you talk about photography and you talk about change, and it's been wonderful to hear that. I mean, what I would love to do at some point, Graeme, is when are you off to your next? You're going to the Masai Mara for your next photography trip. What, in November, hopefully?
I might bring it forward a couple of weeks.
Don't blame you.
Well, there's no one out there. It's kind of 2020 is a unique year for lots of very bad reasons, but there are, if you can get to good places, then for a photographer, there's real upside. So I might be sneaking off sooner, Bob. So.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Graeme, it's been a pleasure catching up with you today. Love what you do in your photography. Love how you do change management as well. And I'm looking forward to the next project that we get together as well, maybe in 2021. But thanks for taking the time out. Been a pleasure. We'll make sure your contact details are on the back end of this video. But wish you success in your photography and look forward to receiving my book after about 2 years of asking.
In the post.
In the post. But great to see you again. Thanks for your time, mate. Look after yourself. Bye now.